All right, we'll call the meeting to order. It's 5:30, January 2nd. Happy New Year to everybody. Can we get a roll call?
Commissioner Friel,
Present.
Commissioner Laird,
Present.
Commissioner Milne,
Here.
Commissioner North,
Here.
Chairman Nicolason.
Here, let's stand for the pledge. Can I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Yes. I move we accept it.
There's been a motion.
I'll
Commissioner
second.
Laird, second by Commissioner Friel. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is passed. We'll move to the public hearing section. Public hearing A is MS 23-3 CV Nelson addition. Is there a staff report?
Mr. Chairman, before we get started on that, I will be recusing myself from this one.
For the record, thank you. Commissioner North has recused himself from the consideration voting on MS 23-3 CV Nelson addition.
Good evening, Commission. Happy New Year. So this is for MS 23-3, a CV Nelson addition. The current zoning is urban residential. In urban residential, the minimum lot size is 900 square feet with public water and sewer, and 2 acres with private sewer. The property is currently subdivided, but the lots are in 2 different subdivisions. Lot 1 is in Lot 10 of Westland Park Number 2, and proposed Lot 2 is currently Lot 2 Bunner Simple. Proposed Lot 1 currently has a shop on the property. Lot 2 is undeveloped. The adjacent land uses are all urban residential. The water source is for Lot 1 is Skyline Ranches, and for Lot 2 is Westland Park. The applicant, Carl and Vicki Nelson, Irrevocable Trust, has requested to vacate and replat CV Nelson Addition, consisting of those 2 lots, on a parcel that's approximately 2.2 acres in that UR zone. The proposed CV Nelson will include the 2 lots, which are both over the minimum requirement in urban residential of 9,000 square feet. The location of the property is on the south side of State Highway 220, south of the intersection of Highway 220 and Cabin Creek Road, and about 575 feet west of Highway 220 and the Robinson Road intersection. The current address is 4260 Cabin Creek. The Planning and Zoning Commission heard the case on December 12th and unanimously voted to recommend approval for the CV Nelson plat with 2 conditions. Which reminds me.
Thank you.
So those 2 conditions were the addition of a utility easement and an addition of a sewer line easement on lots 1 and 2. So CEPI did utility locates and completed the new plat as of today and presented that, which includes those easements requested by the Planning and Zoning Commission. There were public comments received On 12/12, 4 spoke in favor of the case and 3 spoke in opposition. This case was heard twice at the P&Z, and on 10/10, 2 spoke in favor of the case and 7 spoke in opposition. Staff sent notices to 20 neighbors. Staff received 5 written comments, 2 from Matthew Hastings, 1 was personal, and 1 was included a list of neighbors. I have received a comment from Ed Chase, from Amanda Nelson, and Vicki Nelson. The criteria for a subdivision, there are 9 criteria. Criteria 1 is that the subdivision is consistent with the Natrona County Development Plan and the county zoning resolution. This subdivision is in compliance with both of those regulations. Criteria 2 is that the subdivision is in conformance with the general provisions of the subdivision regulations, and it has been processed in accordance with the general provisions and subdivision design standards of the 2013 Natrona County subdivision regulations. Criteria 3 and 4 are regarding water and sewage. As this is part of the ISDs, the Natrona County Health Department had no comment on these lots, and they will continue to use their respective ISDs. Criteria 5 is to provide evidence to show all areas of the proposed subdivision which involve soil or topographical conditions that present hazards or require special precautions have been identified, and proposed uses of the area are capable or compatible with such conditions. I received a comment back from the Natrona County Conservation District that due to the soil and slope, development should be overseen by professionals with guidance by Natrona County. Second, as there's a body of water within the plat, care should be taken during any development to minimize any excess erosion into the creek during any construction, and that the excess sediment in the natural drainages should be removed to minimize potential flooding. And lastly, the Natrona County Conservation District notes that there is no frequency of flooding in this area. Criteria 6, it regards fire, police protection, schools, recreation, utilities, open space, and transportation. This subdivision is already within the county sheriff's jurisdiction. County Fire Department did not respond with any concerns on this split. Natrona County Road and Bridge had no comment. The City of Casper responded with notes for the plat, but no other comments on the division. Criteria 7 is that the subdivision needs to be compatible with the surrounding area, not detrimental to future development of the area, and not detrimental to the health, safety, and welfare of the inhabitants of the county. C.F. Nelson addition zoning will remain urban residential and will include the same permitted uses as the urban residential zoned lots in the area. There is no detriment to the health, safety, and general welfare of the inhabitants of the area. Criteria 8 and 9 are in regards to the ISDs and financing. C.V. Nelson addition lots are currently part of both Skyline Ranch, Lot 1, and Westland Park, Lot 2, improvement service districts. As the required services are in place, no financial guarantee is required for this subdivision. Those are our public comments. And I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff?
So this was been approved by the zoning commission,
Yes, sir.
and was there anybody at the commission hearing that was against this?
Yes, sir. We had 3 at the 12/12 meeting that spoke in opposition.
What was the major comment of opposition for this?
The opposition for this has to do with items within the neighborhood, the size of the parcel, and the use of the larger parcel by the Nelsons.
So has the county attorney looked at this one?
Yes, sir.
And did the people that are applying for this do everything lawfully and comply with our laws? From your standpoint?
So this application has met all the criteria through the 2013 subdivision regulations.
Who in the county attorney's office has looked at this that can tell me that they've met their legal requirements?
Well, I've looked at it, and it appears to me that it's met all the requirements set forth in the zoning resolution, and I know Jared has as well, so he could also give his opinion, but it also appears to comply with the subdivision regulations as well.
Yeah, what I'm getting at is that you guys that have looked into it in detail, that it's been done legally, they've met all of the legal conditions. When people complain about something, do you look in to see whether their complaints are valid under our statutes or anything of that nature?
Mr. Chair. Commissioner, we typically are looking to make sure that they've complied with the requirements that are laid out in the zoning resolution, or in this case, the subdivision regulations that have been passed. Some of the comments that do come into play are something that the board can consider themselves, but as far as the requirements go, they have met the subdivision requirements in this.
And I guess mine is a little more fine tuning, because there have been people who come in and complain and they have a legal valid reason for doing it.
I did not find anything.
As opposed to they're just against it for some reason that isn't set forth in the zoning rules or the statutes of the state of Wyoming.
I did not find anything in this particular case that was concerning, Commissioner.
All right, thank you.
Other questions for staff? Christie, I had a question. 9,000 square feet is minimum size with public water and sewer. There's public water and sewer available to this proposed parcel, right?
Yes, sir.
And then the plat indicates 0.58 acres. By my math, that's about 25,000 square feet.
Correct, sir.
So it's more than, it's about 3 times the minimum. Is it in character with the other, I'm looking at one of the maps, one of the aerials, and is it, in your opinion, consistent with the size of the other lots along and around Smoke Rise Road?
So there are a variety of sizes of lots throughout that area. This would be one of the smaller lots through these subdivisions. But within the zoning, the zoning requirement is 9,000 square feet.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff?
Mr. Chairman, and just for everybody out there, Chrissy, this is the replat that we're looking at, not what was on in the agenda,
Correct.
correct?
So the replat was submitted today. It includes the utility easement on the west side
Right.
and a 10-foot sewer easement on the south side.
Plus the power line easement
Correct.
on the northwest-ish south thing, corner for 2. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you. And now we will declare the public hearing open for the consideration of this MS 23-3 CB Nelson edition. Hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, rules of the Natrona County Commission, and other applicable laws. I'd ask those individuals who wish to address the commission to approach this lectern and state your name and address. At this time, I'd ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of MS 23-3 to approach the lectern.
Good evening. Bill Farringer with Civil Engineering Professionals. at 6080 Enterprise Drive. CEPI, we've prepared this plat. We've surveyed the boundary and prepared the plat for Mr. Nelson, Mr. and Mrs. Nelson. And as staff has stated, it meets all of the county requirements or all the ordinances. Some of the opposition or at the planning meeting, they were discussing or bringing up the point that this is a smaller lot and it doesn't fit with the neighborhood. But really about 3 lots south of here, there's several other lots that are about the same size, within, a half an acre or a little bit more. So it really isn't the fact that it's not the only small lot in the whole area. There are numerous other lots sprinkled throughout this subdivision that are approximately the same size. There was also some concern that of the topography of this lot, that it's not buildable, you couldn't put a house on there. And that too is all kind of up to the discretion of the buyer and their builder. It'd be a beautiful lot, I think, for a nice walkout to the backyard, to the creek. The sanitary sewer is out in the front of the parcel, in the street. And so getting sewer out to the front of the parcel would be an issue for the basement if you put a walkout in here. But in many locations in this same subdivision and across the road in the Red Buttes area, they have pump stations that they've utilized for this whole sewer system out here. Again, CEPI designed that back in the 90s. So we're very much aware that they can put a pump station in the basement to pick up the sewage to the top level, and then it'll dump out into the street by gravity. The sewer line out in the front is somewhere between 13 and 14 feet deep. So getting the sanitary sewer out there is not a problem. The 2 conditions that the Planning Commission tacked onto it at their meeting in December, we've shown that. We had, as staff said, we had utility locates done out here. And the neighbor to the north, his electrical service line does cut across that northwest corner of this parcel. And so we've added a 10-foot wide utility easement, power line easement, to accommodate that electrical service. And the reason why the electrical service cuts across there is that back in the 2013 or 14, when this lot was subdivided, the lot line was moved between the 2 lots there, and that service line was inadvertently left on this lot apparently. So we have an easement for that now. We've also added the sanitary sewer easement along the south line, as was recommended or put on there as a condition. So we've accommodated the conditions from planning and zoning, and we've met all the other requirements, we feel. And so just feel like we could request a due pass. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to try and answer them.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr.
I
Farringer?
have a question. Based on the complaints, is this going to be harmful to any of the other owners that are around there?
Not to my knowledge, not that I can tell.
Or interfere with them or cause problems with their sewer or anything like that?
It should not cause any problems with their sewer. It shouldn't cause any problems with any surface drainage.
Will it do anything to obstruct their views of anything?
It all depends on how the house is built on the parcel. The obstruction, or it's all, I guess, to the eye of the beholder, I guess. But I think it would be difficult to completely block their view if they're concerned about Casper Mountain or whatever. I don't recall that a concern coming up with anybody in the opposition at the planning meeting, was that they were concerned about their
The one you
view.
heard was it just wasn't as big a lot as the other lots.
Correct. Yes.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Farringer? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other individuals that wish to speak in favor of MS 23-3 CV Nelson addition? In favor of?
Hello, I'm Carl Nelson, the owner of the lot. Thank you for your time. Obviously, I'm for it. We have no access to that side of the creek over there because it's so deep from our other lot. There was a suggestion we build a bridge there. I don't want to build a bridge there. But some of the complaints you guys are asking about, one of the neighbors over there, Matt, whatever his last name is, he's the next door neighbor and he don't like looking at my dump trailer and my equipment trailer I haul my Bobcat up to my mountain cabin with, and he's just an angry individual in my opinion. So he's the one that stirred up the whole hornet's nest out there. I have a very nice looking shop. I do have some things around my shop that are stored that, let's face it, we all have stuff we can clean up and we fully intend to. It's not horrible though. I heard that they had called the county, what do you call that, Christy? The code enforcement. We've never heard a thing from those people. There was somebody this last week out there in a Jeep Cherokee taking pictures that was parked behind my shop on my property without permission. Don't know what that was all about, but just some disgruntled neighbors. If you look at on the lot size issue, you go over to Lisa Burridge's lot. She's building over on River West over there along the river. Most of those lots are a half acre or less. So I think we comply. I would guess a good builder that builds something there will build something nice with some nice landscaping. There's rules and regulation put in place for that, and they have to follow that. So whoever buys that lot would have to be in compliant, right? So any questions for me?
Are you going to build anything on it?
If it don't sell, I might. But right now, I don't have plans to at this point.
Thank you.
It is listed with Lisa Burridge.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Any other individuals that wish to speak in favor of MS 23-3 CV Nelson addition?
Vicki Nelson, 4252 Cabin Creek Road. Good evening, gentlemen and others. As co-owner of Bunner Sumpa Lot 2, and because we have met the requirements necessary to subdivide the lot, Carl and I would like to express our support for MS 23-3, the CB Nelson addition replat. We purchased the Bunner Simple Lot 2 in 2012, so the lots were divided back then. The reason they were divided was the owner of the house on the south or the north side had his house for sale. His wife had health conditions and he had to buy a house that was a single level. The house was on the market for 2 years, and so Carl offered to buy 2 of the lots so that he could bring the price of the house down and maybe get it sold. And so this was done in April of 2012. The reason we want to subdivide the lot is the current property line does not allow, as my husband said, for a vehicle to cross from the east side to the west side of the property because of the creek and the steep embankment, which is about 20 to 30 feet steep on both sides. I don't know if you saw pictures. I had pictures for the planning board that you could actually see. It would be very difficult to put a bridge across. Plus, I think the bridge would be detrimental to the creek. And we like to keep it natural beauty. We do mow that lot between the 2 houses up there, the little lot, to keep it from fire hazards and stuff. We moved some old buildings off it to clean it up so it'd look nicer for the neighborhood. The only way to access the east side of the lot was for a vehicle that would have to come through, clear around to the Cabin Creek Road and drive through our property to get to that other piece. If you join the east side of the Bunner side, Lot 2, property to our 4260 property, you just make one continuous, and you could see it on the lot, the plot or the map or whatever, how it just makes one stretch and it'd be behind our shop. Having it also allows us to preserve our view of the mountain. This view was one of the reasons we purchased our home here 28 years ago. So we have lived there for 28 years. Carl and I, along with the help of Bill Farringer from CEPI, have made sure that the requirements set down by the county to subdivide this property were met. The other problem with the disgruntled person that was against it was the fact that he asked to buy that property, but he wants the whole property. And we don't want to sell that part that's back behind the shop. And he also only offered us half the value we had it appraised. And we just can't afford to do that. So we put it out. We don't know if it'll sell because it is kind of a strange lot. But at this time, we went ahead and get things in order in case something would ever happen to us, for our children not to have to deal with it. So I want to thank you for your time. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
Okay,
Is it, I think it's the Hastings that live to the immediate north of, on Smoke Rise Road from your property?
The Smoke Rise property, it would be to the north, and I can't remember their last name.
Okay.
Matt
you.
and something.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
All right. Any others speaking, who wish to speak in favor of MS 23-3 CV Nelson edition? At this time, I'd ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition of MS 23-3 CV Nelson edition to approach. Those who wish to speak in opposition to MS 23-3 CV Nelson edition. And finally, are there any to speak in opposition to MS 23-3 CV Nelson edition? There being no others to speak for or against MS 23-3 CV Nelson edition, I declare the public hearing closed. At this point, I would invite a motion.
I would move that, based upon the advice from the county attorney and from our staff, that all legal requirements have been met, and no opposition with any other legal requirements, that we approve this request.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
So there's been a motion to approve and a second from Commissioners Laird and Friel. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. The application is approved. Thank you. I would now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of ZC 23-2, zone map amendment, commercial to light industrial, Ryan Wegner applicant. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, rules of the Natrona County Commission, and other applicable laws. I'd ask those individuals who wish to address the commission to approach the lectern and state your name and address. But first, we'll have a report from staff.
Hello again. So yes, this is case ZC 23-2 for Ryan Wenger. It is a zone change from commercial to light industrial. The acreage of this parcel is 5 acres. The property is located on 9 Mile Road, south of the intersection of Ferris Road, approximately 1.2 miles south of the intersection of US Highway 2026 and 9 Mile Road. It is currently zoned commercial. In commercial, your minimum lot sizes are a half acre with public sewer and 2 acres with private sewer. The existing land use, currently it is vacant with abandoned mobile home and building debris on it. The adjacent land uses are, to the north it is light industrial, to the south it is urban ag, to the east is the airport PUD, and to the west is more light industrial area. The water source is going to be either a private well or cistern with private septic. It is, however, adjacent to the Pioneer Water and Sewer District, but it is not directly connected to them at the moment. The applicant provided the following statement, that we are wanting to comply with the Natrona County ordinances. We'd like to build a 2,400 square foot shop to rent to a mechanic that restores Toyota pickup trucks and SUVs. In order to comply with the zoning ordinance, we need to zone change from commercial to light industrial. Our neighbors' zones are light industrial and urban ag, therefore the change would be beneficial to this area. The Planning Commission heard the case on December 12th and unanimously voted to recommend approval of the zone map amendment for ZC 23-2. The planning considerations for a zone map amendment is pursuant to Statute 185202B. The Planning and Zoning Commission may certify an amendment to a zoning district designation to the Board of County Commissioners. There are 4 different approval criteria in deciding whether or not to approve or deny a proposed zoning resolution or zone map amendment. The BOCC may consider if the change is consistent with the purpose and organization of the zoning resolution, is consistent with the Natrona County Development Plan, if it is necessary to address a changing area, change in conditions, or a public necessity, or if it's consistent with any other adopted county resolutions. The subject parcel is 5 acres. The minimum acreage in light industrial is a half acre with the public sewer and 2 with the private sewer. The subject parcel meets the zoning resolution requirement for the minimum lot size in light industrial. So this property is located just outside the growth management area as defined in Chapter 6 of the 2016 Development Plan. It's defined as Area F, Casper Canal Rural Planning Area. The development plan recommends agriculture and low-density residential for this planning area. However, the history on this parcel is unique. I located the parcel zone change request from 1980. The resolution changed the zoning from light industrial to rural business in order to support a mobile home park at that time, according to the zoning resolution. That was going to be adjacent to the 10-mile industrial park. So for the records that I was able to locate, the mobile home park was never established. The commercial use was not established. And through our 2000 zoning resolution, that rural business designation was then converted to commercial. So the 2016 development plan does not address development in this area that was converted to light industrial for the 10-mile industrial park. It's the only parcel in this area that is zoned. Sorry, I'll go back. That is zoned commercial. So staff would support the change to light industrial as meeting those approval criteria. The airport manager, it is in the airport overlay area. So the airport manager has met with this applicant. They have made a easement agreement. It has been signed and submitted to our office. So that part of the requirement has also been met. So although this is not a listed recommendation for this planning area, since it wasn't addressed and this area of light industrial is not mentioned or addressed in our 2016 plan, again, staff would support this zone change. And I'll stand for questions.
Any questions for staff?
Christie, what's the difference legally between commercial and light industrial?
So there's a variety of uses that we do have listed in light industrial that are not listed in commercial. And auto repair heavy is one of those uses that is listed specifically in light industrial. So if it remains commercial, the proposed use of an auto mechanic shop with body work would not be permitted within the zoning resolution.
Okay, I know this is kind of an island all unto itself because of where it is and what it is. So what type of, just for clarity, what type of operations could you run in commercial in that area if you were going to run a commercial operation versus a light industrial?
So in commercial, you could do an oil change, but you couldn't do the heavy mechanical. In commercial, we have a variety of retail, medical, et cetera. In light industrial, we have more of the very light manufacturing and a variety of other industrial type uses within that light industrial area.
Okay, but with that being said, because of the location where this is, it's not going to affect the neighbors. It's not going to change the neighborhood or anything else, in your opinion?
No, sir. In my opinion, the commercial zoning here versus the light industrial zoning is not going to have any impact on the area, the uses, anything that would be permitted to be used, right across that property line.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff? Thank you. At this time, I'd ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of ZC 23-2 to please approach the lectern. Any individuals who wish to speak in favor of ZC 23-2? Final call for ZC 23-2, those in favor. Now, any opposed to ZC 23-2, please approach the lectern. Any opposed to ZC 23-2? Final call. Any opposed to ZC 23-2? No others to speak in favor. The public hearing for ZC 23-2 is closed. I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Mill.
I'd make a motion for acceptance of ZC 23-2 with all findings of fact from staff.
Is there
Second
a
that
second?
motion.
Commissioner Milne makes the motion. Commissioner North seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. We will move on to the third public hearing, ZV 23-3, Zone Map Amendment, Commercial to Urban Ag. Cody Smith, applicant. We're going to ask for a staff report.
So this is for case MS, I'm sorry, I flipped to the wrong page. This is for ZC 23-3. The applicant is Cody Smith, proposing a zone change from light industrial to urban ag. The acreage for this property is 20 acres. It is, again, located near our last zone change off of Ferris Road. It's about 3/4 of a mile west of the intersection of 9 Mile and Ferris Road. Its current zoning, is light industrial. Currently, this property is being used as a residence. As you can see, the adjacent land uses to the north and south are urban ag, to the east is light industrial, and to the west is urban ag. The water source is through Pioneer Water and Sewer District and a private septic. The applicant met with staff to discuss this zone change. Currently, the 2022 zoning resolution does not support residential uses in light industrial zoning districts. The applicant would like to add a residence on a property for his mom. The zone change for urban ag would permit the additional residential use. The Planning and Zoning Commission heard the case on December 12th and unanimously voted to recommend approval for the zone map amendment for ZC 23-3. Again, those planning considerations for the board is whether it is consistent with the purpose and organization of the zoning resolution, whether this change is consistent with the Natrona County Development Plan, whether it is necessary to address a changing area or change in conditions or public necessity, and if this is consistent with any other adopted county resolutions. This subject parcel is 20 acres. The minimum acreage for urban ag is 10 acres. The subject lot meets the 2022 zoning resolution requirement for the minimum lot size in urban ag. Again, the airport manager has met with the applicant and an navigation easement has been completed. Any additional development on the property will be reviewed by the planning department for a zoning certificate approval with the approval of the airport board. Again, this property is located just outside that growth management area as defined in Chapter 6 of the 2016 Development Plan, defined as Area F, Casper Canal Rural Planning Area. Again, the development plan does recommend agriculture and low-density residential for this area. It appears a large portion of the current urban agriculture area that is adjacent to the subject property were previously zoned light industrial and have all completed similar zone changes to urban ag over the last 30 years. Again, it's being used as an agricultural property with a residence that has a loafing barn and a shop. The surrounding 500 acres to the north and south are all urban ag, and the acreages to the east are light industrial. The request to change the zone to urban ag for the purpose of supporting residential and agricultural uses is supported by staff. It is consistent with with any other adopted zoning resolutions. This is not detrimental to the character or nature of the area and will support uses compatible with the surrounding areas as the subject parcel is contiguous to property already zoned urban ag. And staff will stand for any questions.
Any questions for staff? Thank you. I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of ZC 23-3 zone map amendment, commercial to urban ag. Hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, rules of the Natrona County Commission, and other applicable laws. I'd ask those who wish to speak in front of the commission, approach the lectern and state your name and address. Any wishing to speak in favor, please approach.
Good afternoon. My name is Cody Smith. I'm a resident at the address, and I would just like you guys to go ahead and approve it. I don't have any reasons why not to disapprove of it, and I don't know any of my neighbors had any disapprovals with it at all. I'll stand for questions.
Any questions? Thank you. Any others wishing to speak in favor of ZC 23-3? Final call for any wishing to speak in favor of ZC 23-3. At this time, I'd ask for those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to ZC 23-3 approach the lectern. Those in opposition, please approach. And finally, those in opposition to ZC 23-3, please approach. There being no others to speak for or against ZC 23-3, I now declare the public hearing closed. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve ZC 23-3 with all findings of fact from staff.
I'll second.
Commissioner Milnes made a motion to approve. Commissioner Friel has seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of ZC 23-3, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. This passes. Thank you. I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of CUP 23-4 conditional use permit for fuel tank Aero Center Casper applicant. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, rules of the Natrona County Commission, and other applicable laws. I'd ask that those individuals who wishes to address the commission approach the lectern and state your name and address. But first, we entertain a report from staff.
Staff report for CUP 23-4. The applicant is Aero Centers Casper. The applicant is proposing to add a 30,000-gallon fuel tank to the fuel farm at the Casper-Natrona County International Airport. The airport is within a planned unit development. That minimum PUD size is 80 acres. The subject property is part of that PUD. The water and wastewater sources are the Casper-Natrona County International Airport. The planning department, we heard that the planning commission heard the case on December 12th and unanimously voted to recommend approval of the conditional use for the additional 30,000-gallon tank for CUP 23-4 with one condition, was to receive comment on the project from the Natrona County Fire Department. And staff received reports from the fire department and the Natrona County Building Department, which are attached in your packet. Both departments had no issues with this project. The Casper-Natrona County International Airport has a planned unit development agreement with the county. It is Resolution 02-78, dated September 3rd, 2002. In that agreement, they chose to adopt some of the 2000 zoning resolution permitted uses and other conditional uses. They also chose to adopt the approval process for conditional use applications to forward those applications through the Planning and Zoning Commission and to the Board of County Commissioners pursuant to that 2000 zoning resolution as outlined in Section 6, C, D, and E of the PUD agreement. The Casper-Natrona County Airport currently has 4 30-gallon fuel tanks in the area designated as the fuel center. The applicant is proposing to add that additional 30,000-gallon storage tank to the fuel center. The criteria for approval we're using will be the 2000 zoning resolution. The first criteria is, will granting the conditional use permit contribute to an overburdening of county services? Finding of fact is that there's no overburdening of county services by allowing the fuel tank at this location. The second is, will granting the conditional use cause undue traffic, parking, population density, or environmental problems? There are no additional parking or population density issues associated with the approval of the CUP, and the fuel tank is complementary to the current use of a fuel farm. Environmental considerations for operation will be reviewed through the Natrona County International Airport and those various entities that the airport coordinates for operations and approvals. Third is, will granting the conditional use permit impair the adjacent property or alter the character of the neighborhood? Again, this is within the airport PUD. They currently operates as a fuel farm, and it will not alter the character or impair the use of any of those adjacent properties. Criteria 4 is, will this detrimentally affect the public health, safety, and welfare? Again, the applicant will be required to operate within the standards set forth by the Casper-Natrona County International Airport, and again, those various entities that the airport coordinates with for approval and operations. As of the date of the staff report, there have been no written comments received. Staff sent notices to the 61 surrounding airport lessees. Recommendations is that if all the minimum regulations and standards for the 2000 zoning code are satisfied, and after consideration of all the relevant factors, and upon finding this request is keeping with those 4 required findings listed in the 2000 zoning resolution, staff staff recommends approval. And I'll stand for questions.
Any questions for staff? Thank you. Oh,
I'm sorry. There we go. Thank you for putting this together. I had a couple of questions, and potentially this might be answered by somebody that supporting. Condition number 2 with the fuel increase. Have they reviewed the effect or any effects on their stormwater management plans or their SPRPs or anything like that?
Mr. Commissioner, I am going to allow the airport manager to answer those questions directly,
Okay.
if that is
Nope, that's good then.
okay.
The other questions, same thing, so
Okay.
thank you.
so at this time, I'd ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of CUP 23-4 to approach the lectern.
Hi,
Hi.
Jennifer McGraw, 1229 South Spruce. I'm the general manager for Aero Center of Casper, and I just wanted to come up and say would like you to approve to put our fuel tank in. And I see that Glenn is here, and he can probably attest more to the airport side, but we've been working diligently alongside with the DEQ and the FAA and all the other entities that we have to deal with to put in this tank to make sure that we are in regulation as we go through it. It's been quite a journey, but, and if you have any questions for me.
Any questions? Commissioner North.
Well, Jim started it, but, so you've got the SPCC all lined up and everything's in compliance with DEQ and
Yes.
as well as stormwater.
We have, I've been speaking with the airport, in the plan. We talked about the containment laws and everything that goes along with having it, and that we're gonna have to, once there's several changes we're gonna have to do to the SPCC, because we're gonna be bringing equipment and stuff on board. So all that will get reviewed and redone. Once we have everything going, it'll all get put into the SPCC.
Okay.
Chairman.
Commissioner Miller.
So that's that part of it. You mentioned containment, so you're going to be reevaluating that and adjusting it. The other question I had, maybe this is for Glenn as well, is as you move forward with this plan, or once it's fully installed, are you going to have to modify any of the area or the airport's ERP so that you can address any evacuation or fire hazards addition
I don't believe so. It's going,
in the same area as those?
it said the pad's actually already poured because the
Right.
original design was to have this tank here, so.
So the current plan should suffice, right, Glenn? Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other individuals who wish to speak in favor of CUP 23-4, please approach the lectern.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'm Glenn Janoska, 8500 Airport Parkway. So we certainly would ask for your favorable consideration and approval for the CUP change. When the fuel farm was constructed, I think in 2009, we basically added four 30,000 gallon Jet A tanks and then moved the existing, we had three 12,000 gallon tanks and one 10,000 gallon tank to the new fuel farm. So when that was constructed, there was capacity and basically a saddle for an additional 30,000 gallon tank at the time. The stormwater containment, since they're single wall tanks, the containment area, since they're single wall tanks, is based upon 110% of your capacity for your largest tank. So this is not changing the nature, because our largest tank is a 30,000 gallon tank and you're putting another 30,000 gallon tank in there. It doesn't change that, but that was all planned for with the design of the facility. So really from an operational standpoint, from a stormwater discharge permit, SWPPP, nothing really changes since that was all contemplated with the construction of the facility 15 years ago.
Thank you. Any other questions? Maybe some other time.
Ask it tonight.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Finally, any others who wish to speak in favor of CUP 23-4, please approach. Now I'd ask for any individuals who wish to speak in opposition to CUP 23-4, please approach. Those in opposition to CUP 23-4, please approach. Finally, any who wish to speak in opposition to CUP 23-4, please approach. There being no others to speak for or against CUP 23-4, I now declare the public hearing closed. Entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the request for the tank.
And incorporating the findings of fact, Commissioner Laird,
Yes.
is there a second?
I'll second.
The motion's been made by Commissioner Laird, seconded by Commissioner Friel. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. That concludes our public hearing section this evening. Thank you all for coming in. Now at this time, we'll have the public comment section. So anyone wishing to speak during the public comment session, please approach.
Rick D. Trying to get
Hi, can you please state your name and address?
Rick D. 408 North Mondale.
Thank you, sir.
Out where I live, it's private roads for public use. So everybody has turned it into a junkyard. And code enforcement says that you can't tell where the roads are at because there's mud puddles, everybody drives around them. Well, there's maps.
Can you tell us where you live so that everybody's aware of that?
408 North Mondale.
I mean,
Uh,
what
Midwest
subdivision?
Heights.
Thank you. That's what I was getting
Sorry.
at.
It's just turned into a big junkyard. And Lori, she says that there's stuff up there parked alongside the fences and in the road. And she says nobody wants to admit to dumping them there. Who cares who they are? Tag them, haul them off. But now they've turned it into, now they're dumping garbage. Everything's getting hauled out there. And there's one guy down on the corner that he's bought 10 lots, contract for deed. And he's just turned it into a junkyard. The roads have never been, that section of road has never been developed. So he just filled it full of torn apart motorhomes, cars, trucks, everything else. And I realized that it's light industrial. I realize you're allowed X amount of vehicles per lot. Your lot. So why can't they be made to haul them off? Lori said she's sent letters to the landowner. He's in Florida. He don't care. The people up there, most of them are renters. or they buy contract for deed, so they feel that they aren't responsible for anything. Other than that, last year, our last big snowstorm, I had to move my 89-year-old mother in with me. And she was a hospice patient. And that last big snowstorm, then I live on a dead-end road because the road isn't completed. And the guy at the top of the hill, he gets stuck in his driveway because it's going downhill. So he plowed a big pile of snow up and put a 2-foot round, 10-foot long piece of pipe across the road. So you couldn't get up and down it. So I called the sheriff's department. Deputy came out and he said, "Oh, do you have a map?" So I showed him the map that I got from code enforcement in planning. And he's, all right. So he went up and says, I'll get it moved. He called me back 5 minutes later and he says, "My supervisors told me I can't touch anything out here. And it's a civil matter. Take them to court." So I went down to the sheriff's department and I talked to I forget which supervisor it was there, but he said that they always come up with all excuse why they don't have to do anything. But it's private roads for public use, or public roads for private use. I don't know which. But anyway, so they don't have to do anything. I said, "You guys are supposed to serve and protect." I said, "How long does it take a person to die?" He said, "Not very long." I said, "Well, if my mother needs an ambulance and they can't get there, she passed away, who do I sue?" He says, "Well, that's up to your attorney." It's like they don't give a shit. If everybody would do their job, it wouldn't turn into a garbage dump. I've been trying for 3 years since I retired to get everything cleaned up out there. And the guy down on the corner, it started out to where there was no vehicles there. Now I'll bet you there's at least probably 10 motorhomes torn apart, all kinds of trucks, campers, pull trailers. It's just a mess. And even if they would make him combine everything onto his land, it would still look like hell, but it would cost him to do something. Now, everybody just lets everything go because there's no expense to them.
I need to interrupt you. You're out of time. We're trying to do 5 minutes for public comment, but I'd like to give you my card and I'd like to talk to you tomorrow and see if we can keep the discussion going and see what we can do, which department might be able to help you out. Because I don't know anything about this, but I think you're telling a really empathetic story that I think we'd like to help you. I don't know if we can solve it tonight. Would that be okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, great.
And Mr. Chairman, if he could get a couple pictures, I'd like to have seen some pictures tonight.
I've got pictures that I've taken, but they are a couple of years old.
Get some current ones.
And they've hauled in a lot of junk since then. Okay, thank you.
Bring some in.
Anyone else for public comment tonight?
Rosemary Saban. Natrona County resident. Happy New Year, gentlemen. On on October 17th, 2023, 18 meetings had been brought to order and conducted by the former chairman, Mr. Friel. At that particular meeting, the sequence of order was out of order. Many public attendees were present that evening for a public hearing to discuss secondary access via Grass Creek into Vista West. At 1:37:46, the motion passed and the majority of the public departed. At 1:37:56, Mr. Friel stated, "We will move on, got a little out of order on this, we'll move back to contracts, agreements, and resolutions." At 1:39:26, the transportation service agreement between Natrona County Board of Commissioners and SkyWest Airlines fourth quarter MRG request was brought forth. At 1:53:17, the motion passed to gift them a running total of $1,343,494, to answer your question from the work session. Without the numbers of earlier public attendees and without public comment. At the December 17th meeting, county employee raises were mentioned. That airport money would have went some distance for that. Also, at that meeting, the last meeting of the year, Chairman Friel at 17:30 said that a new chair and vice chair would be elected for the new year. This was at the end of the public meeting and after public comment. I got mixed feelings on this, but I would like to say that in my opinion, the new chair does not deserve recognition or promotion for this. However, I watched this work session, and if you don't act condescending right now, Peter, when they wanted to give ultimatums, you handled that very appropriately. Mr. Milne, what happened to you being a man of the people for the people? Sorry, he used to sit over there. Wyoming state statute. I'm not an attorney, but this is my interpretation of this. 18:1-310, when officers to qualify when county organized on the first Monday of January following the election or as soon thereafter as possible, the county and precinct officers elected in the new county shall qualify and enter upon their respective duties. When at least 2 county commissioners elected have qualified and entered upon their duties, the county is organized and is vested with all the powers of an organized county. At the first meeting of the year, if this process was adhered to, appointments made would not be counterintuitive to the calendar set by the state. Boards, duties, business, minutes, deadlines, and budgets are set by the calendar year for every other function in government. What would set this apart? The people have a right to plan accordingly and to voice opinions. This is not the first time the people have had their rights circumvented or their voices suppressed. It's also not the first time rules have been promoted to suit what I consider visible agendas extending beyond what you all may consider and say it was efficiency. I look back at past meetings of this county, and historically, Natrona and other county elections are made at the first meeting of the year. The interpretation of the statute seems to define elections as appointments to boards and positions for the year. In this case, I'm referring to Peter Nicolason and Jim Milne being appointed prior to the first of the year. At the very least, this act denied the people the right to be part of the process of this county's functions in an order of business as it pertains to the public and our government. Also, November 21st, I brought up zoning, the revisions of the wildland interface. It was supposed to be released soon for public review. Are we anywhere with that? Nowhere? Okay, that was last year's stuff. This is a new year. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any others for public comment?
Terry Wadengutter, 1427 Horn Church. First of all, I want to congratulate Mr. Nicolason for being the the new chairman. And Steve, I think you did a good job. I know I've never been chairman, but I know it's a difficult job at times. Anyway, tonight, about, I'd say 4:45, I was at Mirad Park, which is in the city. I would grant you that. But anyway, I was coming back, and Wyoming Boulevard, well, first of all, how much of Wyoming Boulevard is in the city and how much of it is in the county? I know quite a bit of it's in the city of Mills and in the city of Casper. But out Mountain Road coming into where maybe the new jump craze is, that's a 2-lane highway. And I was just wondering if that's in the city or if that's in the county. I know YDOT's responsible for it, but I was just wondering, does anybody know if that's city or county? You think it's the city? Well, I know jump craze is on that. Yeah. Well, the reason why I was wondering, it gets so congested out there, and I've noticed it before, because, they have to go from the 4-lane, and all of a sudden they have to come into the 2-lane and out east of town. It's getting so busy, and I was just wondering if you might think about putting a bug in YDOT's ear. I don't know if it would be the city that's responsible for putting a bug in YDOT's ear or you guys, because it's pretty congested out there. And the reason why, because I was out there many, many times and I've seen this, we also had a deal the other night with city planning where a particular developer wanted to change a little bit of land out there from R2 to R4. And that would have been more congested out there. And this developer didn't make it, but anyway, I just thought maybe you could put a bug in the YDOT's ear or next city county breakfast you have or something like that. You could talk about something like that. And anyway, I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I know Christmas is over with. And somebody told me, did you put Pat Sweeney on the fair board? Well, good. Pat has done more for this community, and he's never been really recognized. He used to give away rooms down there at the old parkway. He used to haul food on the mountain when there was fires and everything, and I don't think he's ever been recognized for that. So I'm really proud of you guys for putting him on the fair board. So anyway, that's all I had. Or else should I think of something else? No, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Terry.
Well, I'm going to do that, but I've already talked to YDOT, but it was about a year ago, but I'll keep after it.
Any other public comment? Then at this time, we will have commissioner comments. Commissioner Laird.
I honestly think, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, that 2024 is going to be a great year for Wyoming people, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your brevity. Commissioner North.
Mine's going to be short too. I just wish everybody a Happy New Year and hope that things turn around here in this next year. Last year was kind of a rough year for a lot of people and a lot of different reasons. And I do think that we need to concentrate and focus on what we can improve on and what we can change. And I just hope everybody can do that. I hope that we move forward in the right direction.
Thank you, Commissioner Friel.
The only thing I got tonight, next Monday will be the first CNFR meeting of the year. Gearing up for next year, or for this year's event. That's it.
Commissioner Milne.
Happy New Year to everybody. We do have a few issues that we still need to tackle, and we're well aware of it, and we'll work on them as best we can. And, Madam Chief?
Great, thank you. I appreciate the confidence in nominating and electing me as chairman. I'll do my best for the community and the county. And we have a lot of work that I think we can get done this year, and I share Commissioner Laird's optimism about our ability to do that. We do have a meeting with, I think, Fly Alliance, but in any event, Sky West, we're going to have a special meeting next Tuesday in this room in the morning, and we'll be discussing things like the MRG and the Delta service. So, the public is certainly welcome to attend that and listen in. I know we'll have a number of questions and hopefully get, some comments and answers from SkyWest. We asked for their attendance and they're providing someone. So I think that's a positive signal. I'd like to thank the chairman, the outgoing chairman, for his work last year. I think it was a tough year. I think that we still accomplished a lot. So thank you very much for your efforts. And with that, we will, I believe, go into our executive session. A notice of executive session to take place at this date and during this meeting was given. We have attorney-client privileged matters to discuss, and the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session at this time, and then reconvene this regular meeting solely for the purpose of adjournment of this regular meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Friel has made the motion. Commissioner Laird has seconded. Is there any discussion? Then all in favor to go into executive session, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned.
I'll stand for the judge.
We are back after our executive session. It's 7:44. And coming back into the meeting for the purpose of adjournment, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Friel, seconded by Commissioner North. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.